Welcome to Aiken This Week. I'm Emery Langston. Today our topic of discussion is going to be the transit development plan that is being taken on by Lower Savannah Council of Governments. And my guests today are Dr. William Molnar, who is the Executive Director of the Lower Savannah Council of Governments, and Joel Ray, who is the Principal and Vice President of Tyndall Oliver, the company that is going to be helping assist with the plan. And your company, I believe, specializes in engineering and planning for transit, kind of specializing in this area.
Yes, ma'am, we do. We have a solution area that is specifically focused on transit planning and operations, and especially in the completion of transit development plans and vision plans for transit agencies.
Well, great. Well, gentlemen, I thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
And
appreciate it.
Dr. Molnar, thank you for having us today at your facility. This is a treat. So we're excited to talk about our topic today. And as we're getting started, Dr. Molnar, can you tell us, give us a baseline about the function of the Lower Savannah Council of Government?
Absolutely, Emery. The Lower Savannah Council of Government is one of 10 COGs, or Council of Governments, in the state of South Carolina. We were started about 50 years ago from EDA funding, and that's part of the Department of Commerce in the Fed area. We cover 6 counties: Aiken, Allendale, Barnwell, Bamberg, Orangeburg, and Calhoun. And we administer programs. We're like the back room for these local governments. A lot of them don't have the specialties or the personnel in order to carry out a lot of different kinds of programs. And so we work with those local governments, counties, municipalities, etc., to help to provide the funding, the oversight, and a number of those programs that they need but may not have the right people in order to put it in play.
Sure, sure. And I know that is quite a task for you and your staff to do, and you do such a super job of it. And y'all operate the Best Friend Express.
We do. We operate a number of different things, and in the transit area is the Best Friend Express. We started operating the Best Friend Express back in 2004. Took it on from the county, and we have a fixed route system, that's the Best Friend Express. And then in addition to that, we also have a Dial-A-Ride program. Dial-A-Ride takes care of those who are elderly or disabled who can't get to the bus. They live about 3/4 of a mile on one side or the other. And so the Lower Savannah Council of Governments administers both those programs. The Best Friend Express has 3 different routes. A route here in Aiken, one for the greater metro area and around Aiken, and one for North Augusta. And we service about 25,000 people a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so I know that y'all operate most every day of the week.
Actually, we operate from 7 to 7, Monday through Friday.
Okay,
Yep.
Monday through Friday.
Yep.
All right. And I know that all the buses are ADA compliant. And something that I found really interesting is you have bike racks.
Yes, we do. On every one of our buses, we have bike racks to make sure that people who want to get on the bus, go to one of our parks, ride their bike, and then go back, don't have a problem with that. Put it right on the front, and away they go.
I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
That is a service that's offered. So now with the transit development plan that that this endeavor, y'all are undertaking this initiative, do you want to talk a little bit about why this has come to fruition?
Absolutely, Emery. As I mentioned earlier, the Lower Savannah Council of Governments took on the Best Friend Express and a number of the transit programs here in Aiken County back in 2004. Since then, Aiken has changed significantly, and you know that as well as I do, so do lots of the institutions and people in this community. But the reality is the transit system hasn't kept up with those changes. And so we thought that it'd be best if we brought in somebody who really knew what they were doing for a smaller community like Aiken, but needed those kinds of services to develop a transportation development plan. The idea of the plan is to start to realize what we're doing, where things have changed, and how we can change with where Aiken is right now.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think that this is a great time to talk a little bit more about the detailed work of the plan, Joel. So let's talk about how that's going to work.
All right. Well, The first thing you need to understand about a transit development plan is it truly does set a vision for the community, for its transportation services, transit in specific. And when you're doing a plan, whether it's a 5-year TDP or a 10-year TDP, you really want to establish what does the system aspire to become when it grows up. And so in a TDP, the first thing you do is you look at the community. How's it growing? Where are things occurring that have changed over time? How is the existing system performing? It's very investigative in nature. And so once you establish kind of the baseline conditions of where we are today, then you start talking to riders, you start talking to drivers, you start talking to folks maybe who have not yet used Best Friend Express, but may in sometime in the future to find out what would encourage them to use it at all. And you find out what their needs are. What's going to encourage them to get on the bus, either more often if they're a regular user or to try it out if they're not. And then you start establishing alternatives. How can we improve the service, whether that's longer hours of service during the weekdays, providing weekend service or greater frequency. You start laying out the plan for that 5 or 10 year window, and then what it's going to cost and where additional funding may come in to support that. And then the next steps are implementation, but the plan is developed specifically to guide that process.
So when you said it was very investigative in nature, and I know that y'all are really wanting some citizen input that we will talk about here in just a few minutes, but Dr. Molnar, just like you were saying, we haven't kept up with how things have grown over time in our area, and so this is going to look at what we can do most immediately, and then look towards the future too. So in doing that, Joel, I'm sure that things such as involving the university more and getting some ridership from our students at the University of South Carolina at Aiken would be something that could be looked at.
Absolutely, and we've heard already, just with the outreach that we've been able to accomplish to date, Aiken Technical and the University of South Carolina at Aiken are both key stakeholders that are going to be important to the outcomes of this project. We know about the new dorms that are being built, for example, at Aiken Tech that could create more of an environment of less commuter school and more need for these students to be able to get around the community without having the need for a car.
Sure, and Dr. Molnar, we were talking earlier about the workforce development and how very important this is for folks to be able to get to work.
Absolutely. So last month, when Tyndale Oliver was here, we did a series of stakeholder meetings during the day. And a number of those stakeholders were Bridgestone, the hospital, the universities, and other large employers. And they have issues in making sure that especially new hires can get transportation they need to get back and forth to work, and especially when you have a place that has not only a first shift but a second and a third shift. And so that's really important. So that's one of the things that we're looking forward within this plan to come out and to have that conversation of what is needed in this community and how hopefully we can move towards that.
Sure, sure, because I mean, especially as, again, right now, our initial what can we do now, and then looking towards our future. And it's wonderful that you've had that type of input. I know that's been very important to Lower Savannah, as well as Tyndale Oliver in putting this together, is that there is outreach. We're talking to everybody that we possibly can to get the input for what is needed now and what is needed in the future. So let's talk a little bit about how people can get involved with this plan.
All right. Well, one of the things that people can do is go online to www.bestfriendexpress.com. We have an online survey there that's available anytime, day or night, that folks can fill in and let us know about their transportation needs. We also have, starting this week, folks who are going to be on the buses doing passenger surveys and getting input from the current riders. And then we have a series of public workshops that are going to be coming up later in March. Specifically on Tuesday, March 28th, we're going to have a workshop from 3:30 to 5 at Aiken Technical College in the community room. On Wednesday, March 29th, we're going to have a workshop at North Augusta City Council Chamber from 4:30 to 6:30. And then on Thursday, March 30th, at the Aiken Municipal Building, we'll have one from 11 to 2.
I want to let you know, Emery, that with these public meetings, all of these meetings are on our Best Friend Express bus lines. And so that anybody who would like to be able to go, who uses the system, can automatically go. Also, the timing of these meetings are perfect so that somebody can take the bus, get to, say, Aiken Tech, go to the meeting, and then hop back on the bus and go back home or wherever they need to go.
That is very thoughtful. That was some very thoughtful planning on your part to make sure that that could happen. And it'll be a very laid out meeting, knowing that we have to meet a schedule to make sure that folks can get back on the bus and get back to their location. So this is a really important study for our community. I know it's very dear to both of your hearts, but I know that you want to encourage folks who ride and who don't ride to be able to voice their inputs and concerns and ideas, and to help us develop and get as much information as possible.
Absolutely, and we've been helped incredibly by the different organizations here in Aiken County, so that the Chamber of Commerce, the Economic Development folks, the city itself, as well as the City of North Augusta, and other organizations have been part of these meetings and will continue to be, reaching out to the citizens who, like you say, actually use the system, or those who are interested in the system.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, as we're wrapping up today, is there anything that we haven't touched on? This is a topic that we really could talk about for probably an hour, and we have really condensed it. So is there any point that either one of you would like to make before we wrap up today?
Well, I'll just say to the folks out there, if you happen to be on the bus, talk to our folks, give them your input. And if you don't ride the bus, please come out to one of the workshops and let us know what might encourage you to try it out for the first time.
I think that's it. Please take our survey and come to the meetings at the end of March. Thank you.
Well, gentlemen, I thank you both for being here and taking a few minutes to share this very important study for our area, and we look forward to seeing what the results will bring and better transit opportunities in our community. So we're going to encourage each and every one of you to participate on the online survey, as well as attend one of the open houses that will be hosted this month in March. Please take advantage of this, and we thank you for joining us for Aiken This Week, and we'll see you next time.